.26 on to 11 o'clock here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You're locked on to WEFM 99.9, the Clean Fresh Sound, and this is your It's Your Turn program. Remember, It's Your Turn is an interactive program, so the numbers to call are 457-9997 if you're calling from a local landline, 532-9997 if you're calling from a digital cell phone, and you can also send us a message or call us on WhatsApp at 457-9997. The It's Your Turn program is being hosted by Mr. Cecil Ryan, Mr. Philbert, and Mr. Joel Providence. Good morning to you, Cecil.
Good morning to you, Karen, and good morning to my colleagues in studio, Philbert and Joel. Good morning to our listeners. All of you who are listening on the Star FM, Star Radio platform, and the Garifuna platform, sorry about that. And of course also the WEFM platform, the Clean Fresh Sound in Radio Land in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Good morning to you and welcome to another Issue at Hand program. Today is 9th of March, which is one day after the big celebration, the global celebration of International Women's Day. And we would come back to that later on in the program, but right now I just want to hand over to my colleagues to greet you. Philbert?
Yes, Cecil, thank you and good morning. Good morning, Joel. Good morning, Kieran. Good morning to all of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It's a beautiful Sunday in St. Vincent. And as usual, we want to engage you in another interesting discussion on various issues. I want to take the opportunity to welcome back our colleague Joel, whose eyes are still jumping after they were very much active in Trinidad. I understand. I want to wish him all the best. Joel?
Before Joel comes in picture, I know you say his eyes and not his legs.
Well, according to him.
Oh, all right, Joel. Or maybe Joel could...
Okay.
Yes, Joel.
Thank you very much for that introduction. John, good morning, St. Vincent and Grenadines. It's good to be back on another Issue at Hand program. Good to be back in St. Vincent and the Grenadines after spending a week away with some of my colleagues in the land of Steel Band, and as they claim, the land of Carnival. And it was good to see quite a number of Vincentians also in Trinidad who made the trip. Some of them actually participated in the Panorama competition, members of the Starlift Steel Orchestra. They were part of the action down there as well. And just generally good to also hook up with Vincentians who reside in Trinidad and who have never lost touch with their homeland and so forth, as well as Trinidadians who love St. Vincent and Grenadines and just love the region. And, you know, when you go to places like Trinidad or St. Lucia, Grenada, wherever, realize that the Caribbean is really a beautiful place. It has a lot to offer. And this is where we should try our best to enjoy what the region has to offer its people and do not necessarily feel that it's only some kind of journey or mission to New York or London or Toronto. That's where you can enjoy the good things in life. But the region indeed has a lot to offer. And I encourage as many of us as possible to travel regionally. But it's good to be back on the program, and I look forward to participating in today's discussion.
All right. Yeah, we had a very good program last week. Peter and I just want to share with our followers some observations that I have made following last week's discussion when we had Siobhan Stewart, the chief radiographer at the Milton Kate, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. A number of persons met me during the week and commented how pleased they were here listening to her and They were very impressed. Many, if not most, if not all, were very impressed. And I had an opportunity also to look back at the program, the Facebook program, and I noticed that the number of viewers to the program, the number was up, and I thought it was confirmation that the program was good. And I just want to again give the folks at the radiology department at the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital a shout up. Again, I remember, well, I haven't called him this morning, but I just want to give him a shout out. And of course, once again, thank Miss Stewart for being on our program last week. And I noticed also that there have been some various reactions. I noticed one particular, somebody wrote a letter, and it's published in Eyewitness News, and I think also the social newspaper online. In a different context, the letter referred to her in a different context. And perhaps we might want to come back to that later on. I think there are some remarks that one or two of us may want to make about that. So we'll leave that for now and come back to that later on in the program. But again, very pleased that last week's program seemed to have generated a lot of interest and a lot of pleasure, people listening to the program. So, Pijan, when we in the last week program, I did say that I was going to do something on Captain Ibrahim Traore of the new president in Burkina Faso. And you said you'd allow it only if you...
I didn't... Oh, you mean to talk about Trump?
Trump. So I was wondering if you're up to talking about your partner, Trump.
Not at all.
No? Yeah, I don't know. Joel might fit in for you. It was his partner, Trump. Yeah, all right. So, I know Joel has a number of things you want to raise, and you too, Pijan. But I was wondering if I should play this.
I just want to remind us that this year, around this time, is the 50th anniversary of Beckett being crowned as Calypso King. And I think it merits a separate discussion at some time as to his contribution to soca internationally, not just locally, but internationally. I just remember we used to have
Carnival
the pre-Lenten season carnival. So it'll be around this, or sometime around this time. I tried to look up the date, but I couldn't find the exact date. But I know that it was 1975, the pre-Lenten season, that he was first crowned as, perhaps that was his only crown, but he dominated the scene for a few decades well. I know Joel is normally knowledgeable about these things, so I don't know if he has any comment to make on that.
Yes, well, I recall being at Victoria Park as both for the semi-finals and the finals. I remember even the design. It was the first time that, and maybe the only time, that the Victoria Park, that they actually virtually had it was almost, they had the pavilions were on the field at Victoria Park as well, so that your stage was in the middle, and they actually had persons viewing, just like how Trinidad have the North Stand and the Grandstand. You virtually had pavilions on pretty much all sides of the stage at Victoria Park on that occasion. Then the following year, they went to the Guichet for the Calypso finals in 76. But it wasn't the first time that Beckett was participating in Calypso competitions. I think he did so in 1969 before migrating to the United States. And then he came back with a bang. He actually sang, from my recollection, back then, you sing a fast song and a slow song. And usually you will sing your slow or social commentary first. And then the second song would be the more up-tempo song. But he did the reverse. And My understanding, I think back then he referred to song as California Girl, but it was really Mass and Victoria. He sang that first, and then he came back with Carnival History. Two fantastic songs, and it was very clear that there's a difference between Beckett on stage that night, the Calypso Finals night, and anyone else who participated in that competition. And he then stamped his authority on the scene thereafter. We know what happened in '76 at the Gee Shed, but putting the Gee Shed aside, and so forth, what would have transpired then? This impact, as P. John said, on the carnival scene in St. Vincent and Grenadines for several decades has been fantastic. And I think that Beckett, I mean, we have paid our tributes and so on to Beckett on more than one occasion. But I think it is he and his contribution to culture in St. Vincent and Grenadines as a whole must be more or less kept in permanent memory of all Vincentians. You know how proud it is sometimes to travel abroad in a far off region and someone can relate to your country because they know of Beckett or of his works and so on. His contribution is amazing, and I do trust that we will still find a way to celebrate his 50th anniversary of that momentous occasion back in '75.
Well, in fact, Pigeon, when Pigeon raised it with me after the program last week, we were up outside the studio. I agreed with him first of all, and that we should really have a program dedicated. In fact, if it's possible, I think we should make effort to have him in studio with us, and to discuss those 50 years of his contribution to development of Vincentian culture. Certainly, I would make an effort to reach out to him in this week.
Joel, just to know that I lived in Layu at the time. I was 12 years old and was too young to go to Victoria Park.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. The Beckett, I think, and I know he's still very active. Just yesterday, again, and as he does, he's head of a group in Layu that has fundraising activities for social programs in the Layu community, and an activity took place yesterday. And I encourage persons to always to support whenever it is promoted the Beckett Benefit Foundation, that person can travel to Layu and support their fundraising effort, because they generally definitely go, the proceeds go to worthy causes in the community. We had talked before as well, some time ago, about recognizing the contribution of the Cyruses to Layu in particular, and whether or not we could have found a way to recognize both Dr. Alston Beckett Cyrus and Dr. Cecil Cyrus and so on, and their contribution to St. Vincent and Grenadines, and starting with their roots in the community of Layu. And this is something that we should always keep on the front burner.
Well, we can promise our listeners and our followers that we would definitely make an effort to invite Beckett in studio with us sometime soon, hopefully sooner than later, where we could talk about his contribution to culture, the development of culture in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It would be good as well to have to reach out to Frankie McIntosh, because they seem to have been twins working together, certainly in the creation of music. So we'll definitely make an effort to reach out to both of them. Yeah. All right. So I promised to Pigeon this Joel, I don't know, Joel, if you're familiar with the same guy, the African leader, Captain Ibrahim Traore.
Yes.
Oh, you are? Okay. He's who's trending throughout the world as the leader of rare substance, African leader of rare substance, and the one to watch in terms of what's going to happen in all of Africa as a consequence of his leadership. I know I was sharing with Pigeon earlier that I know a number of singers, including people like Rihanna, Beyonce, Chris Brown, and even the rapper Lil Wayne. Those folks and others, I think there are others who are now singing in support of Captain Traore in terms of the good work he's doing in Burkina Faso. And I want to play a little bit of so our listeners can hear what it is. I took this from this recording from one of the many YouTube recordings of what is happening there. So I'm going to play a little part of it, not all. It's kind of long. It's about 22 minutes. I don't think I'm going to play all of the 22 minutes at all. I can't actually on the program this morning. But just to give a snippet to our listeners.
Words, but binding contracts with the people, and he delivers, no matter how challenging the task. Since assuming power, Traore has prioritized transformative initiatives aimed at reshaping Burkina Faso's economy and uplifting its citizens, particularly the youth. Among his most ambitious goals was the creation of jobs and a commitment to build economic sovereignty. Today, those promises are becoming undeniable realities. Recently, a groundbreaking development has sent shockwaves across the continent, a testament to Traore's leadership and the resilience of the Burkinabe people. A state-of-the-art tomato processing plant has been inaugurated in Bobo Dioulasso, a project financed primarily through a popular contribution campaign led by the Agency for the Promotion of Community Entrepreneurship, APEC. This initiative exemplifies the collective will of the Burkinabe people to break free from dependency and take charge of their economic destiny. The facility's scale and impact are monumental. With the capacity.
Well, that factory, gentlemen, as you might know, is one of many initiatives. I think there are a number of important initiatives in developments in health, in education, in infrastructure development, and a whole range of things. Even in the area of providing the whole question of leadership in Africa, certainly in that part of Africa where his country is located. It's a momentous occasion, historical occasion, and I think it would help if all of us, those of us who are living in these parts, follow him and pay attention to some of the things that he's doing. Some of them remind me of some of the things that this government is doing in St. Vincent here in terms of education, in terms of health, in terms of infrastructure development, in terms of even agriculture. So I just thought that from time to time, I'm going to play a little bit, if only, about the contribution that Captain Traore is making in his part of the world, not only in Burkina Faso, but also across the whole of Africa. So we come back to that sometime in the future, but now I'm going to turn over to Joel. Joel has a number of things that he wishes just to raise this morning. You're not ready, Joel?
Yeah. Okay, I'm always ready to bat. I know that. By the way, the finals of the Champions Trophy cricket cup is taking place now as we speak.
Okay.
And New Zealand versus India, and New Zealand made, I think, 251 for 7 or something like that. And the last score I heard was in India was 122 for 2, and I think another wicket fell and some. But India more than likely has the upper hand in that particular game. Before moving on, it's I think it would be interesting for us, and we have an opportunity for all of us who have an interest in history, African history, or any history of any part of the world, really, virtually. Unlike long ago, you used to have to try and go up to the Kingston Library and see what you can get your hands on there to read. But now you can pick up your cell phone. You can take up your cell phone or tablet and read as much as you can. And I would invite persons to to go back to the time when Europe had a conference and to subdivide Africa and so on. This is going back to the 1870s, 1880s. And around 1870, 10% of Africa was actually under European control. But within 30 or so years, 90% of Africa was under European control and so on. And in the context of a discussion with Burkina Faso now, that we know the French, the English took charge of parts of West Africa, including like Nigeria and Ghana and so forth, and across on the eastern, like Kenya and so forth, and most of Africa. And then you had the Belgians and the Germans playing a key role in the south, the Dutch, and so forth. But the French, they virtually took charge of sub-Saharan Africa. And it talked about these countries that are contiguous to each other, including Burkina Faso, Mali, and
Niger.
Niger, as they pronounce, yes, Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, Senegal, and so forth. And they just and the French had this complete control of this area. They were responsible for all the movement of all wealth. They were in charge of everything. They were in charge of the treasury, and up until recently, even after the British relinquished their colonial rule in Africa in the like the late 1950s, early 60s, and so forth, the French were there until recently. And because even after and so on, after the struggles and so on, the French refused, and they still try to get the other African countries to gang up, as we would say, against Burkina Faso and Mali and so forth. But after they recognized, no, that something is clearly wrong with that. And in the end, they decided what I thought was the right course of action and so on, to allow persons and countries like Burkina Faso now to demonstrate that they can rise, that Africa can rise on their own, and without the exploitation of the vast resources that Africa has had and continues to have. There are a number of activities that we need to also track in Africa. One of them is it's in between Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. We need to pay some attention and see what exactly is happening with MS-23. And to my mind, I get the impression that a lot of this is fueled by Paul Kagame, the head of Rwanda, who actually got, I think, is like 98 point something percent of the vote in the last elections, and I understand he wasn't too happy with that result, and so forth. And whether or not Paul Kagame is, whether he's an agent of the people of Rwanda or is an agent of other persons who have vested interest in Africa outside of the African continent. And I think that's something that we need to pay attention, because now, we were mining for diamond and gold and so forth. Now, all the other rich minerals that are required remains in Africa. It's no longer just the diamond and the gold, but there's so many minerals that are involved in the production of the batteries. As we think with AI and all the technological findings of recent time, we recognize more and more that you need these minerals that you can still find in Africa to a large extent. I can call out some of the names, but we can come back to that another time. The other point that I just wanted to slip in quickly, and that is South Africa itself. And you know that Pigeon did not want to talk about his friend Donald Trump. But it's interesting now that South Africa too, and the position that's taken by Cyril Ramaphosa, and it's by someone whom I met actually in Barbados back in 1990. I think, 1991. He was in Barbados,
Okay.
Early 1992. I met him way back, and he was connected to Pepsi Cola at the time, and he had given some degree of prominence after the Mandela had, the governments were in transition post Mandela's walk to freedom. But you see what they're happening now in terms of now the freeing up the land and so forth and repossessing the land in South Africa, and the position of the Trump government on that. And you know what the Trump's position is, that that pretty much all the white planters and their families can have refugee status in
America.
in America, and of course the Haitians not getting that, but they and so forth. And then of course they can also be free to buy the gold card and so forth. And what this was to give them a path towards citizenship in the United States. But that's what I said. But I am glad that you raised a question in relation to Ibrahim Traore and what is happening in Burkina Faso. And I think it's something that we need to focus on, because in the meantime, there are certain linkages that are being forged between the Caribbean and Africa that we need to consider. Persons are not aware of the import-export bank that Africa is, and they actually have allowed a window for Caribbean countries to tap into this bank as a source of funding for capital projects in the region. In fact, I could touch shortly on I think there's a project in the Bahamas which came out in the meeting in the last heads of government conference, which took place just about 2 weeks ago, and so on. And this is something that I wanted to talk about. But in closing on this, I think it's something that Issue at Hand can do, just to keep our eyes and ears and minds and hearts on Africa. And one closing footnote is that I have family who have journeyed to Ghana in recent years, and there are others who have journeyed to Ghana and so forth. And I would encourage persons to see what the tour opportunities exist for persons to go to Accra and other places in Ghana and so on, where we believe that our journey actually started 400 years ago, 300 years ago, whatever the case might be, or 200 years ago. So I just encourage persons to do that, and that recognize that criticality of us to reestablish our connection with Africa. And this catalyst in the name of Captain Traore is indeed welcome.
In fact, Joel, he came to power via a coup d'etat.
Yes.
Should that be of concern to democracy-loving people around the world?
My view is yes and no. It depends. It's not so much the coup d'etat itself, but what happens after that and how it is managed and so forth. I am one who believe in some form of democratic government, but at the same time, democracy can be manipulated by forces outside of your own country very easily, and you don't get to achieve the things that you would want to achieve. So what could have happened in Chile around 1983. See what could have happened in Guyana in the early 60s on Chedi Jagged and so forth. And there are many other places and so on where there are forces from without can manipulate the real deep-seated interest and will of the people within and so forth. So yes, there should be some form of democratic participation of the people, but it is something I believe that should be done in such a way that the people can take control, and that those from outside don't find a way with bags of money to go and manipulate things inside. And some persons get greedy and hungry, and when they have power in their hands, they just simply refuse to give up on power. But at the same time, the best form of government is not just the Westminster model alone. That is just my view on it. And so
In fact, in response to questions being raised about that, Traore himself spoke to that, the whole issue of what he considers or what is known as democracy, as opposed to what his group has done to rescue their country and put the country back in the hands of the people in terms of its development, its security, and so on and so forth. But interestingly enough, and if you go on YouTube, you'll see this, that he had pledged, and in fact, he made an effort to remove himself from the leadership of the country and turn it back for electoral processes. But the masses of the young people especially told him, no, they don't want that. They want him to be in charge of running the country. And in fact, across all African countries right now, even to speak, there's a movement, mainly among young people, to keep Traore where he is and challenging their own leaders from other countries to say, look at the example of Traore, what he's doing in Burkina Faso. And that is what's happening. That's where the movement is right now in Africa. So in as much as Pigeon has raised the question of coup d'etat as opposed to democracy, is being addressed by the people in the country themselves. They say they want him there. They don't want no other person right now to give them leadership.
So once there's evidence that the coup d'etat is popular, it is a little bit more palatable.
Well, popular in the sense that the people are satisfied that his leadership is bringing benefit to them and doing what they thought should have been done many years ago, including driving out the French, taking over their gold mines, managing themselves, putting measures in place for their own development, as is happening in Mali, right next door, and Niger, right next door. So they have, those three countries have now formed a bond, and they're really moving with pace to bring themselves together to address. In fact, those three countries, they have what is called, I can't remember the name of it, but they have formed an alliance.
An alliance, a strategic alliance.
But it's more than a 3 or 4 alliance. It's I can't remember. Anyway, it's like a pact to say, if you attack anyone, the others will come to the rescue of that one. So military pact.
Yeah, okay. So it's just like NATO in Europe. I mean, you attack one, you attack all.
So that is where they are now. And in fact, they're moving to, again, Traore is influencing the movement of the development of common currency. That's what they're working on, including South Africa, incidentally. And where they're moving to set up structures across Africa for governance and military, and also monetary structures and policies. So the man is giving powerful leadership to Africa.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad the point you made about the currency, because it's that you can have South Africa next door to Zimbabwe and Mozambique and so on, and to trade across borders, you have to go and trade in US dollars and so on and so forth. I mean, something has to be done. I mean, it's been going on for too long. What I found with a lot of African leaders, that I think that they're very long on talk and very short on action.
Generally, but not Traore.
No, not in this case. Yeah. And even so they knew what was going on in Goma, in the DRC, and so on. And they, after months and they're getting together to talk and say, well, what is to be done? Rather than recognize that, look, the DRC is 10 times the size of Rwanda. Right, but they're allowing the MS-23 rebels just to take control, town after town, village after village, and so on. And people now have to run for their lives. And so, what is the rest of Africa doing? They're going to talk up, just keep on talking, and so on. And we have had too much of that for too long, and I think there's time now for action. It doesn't have to be in military form alone, but take charge, repossess your continent, which then brings me on.
Before you come on to
Yeah.
that point, I just want to say to underscore the significance of his leadership in Africa. There has been up until I think sometime in January this year, 18 attempts on his life.
On his life.
On his life, yeah. That's to tell you how. I mean, and those attempts have come from inside and outside. So that's to tell you how significant his leadership is in the context of what's happening in Africa itself. Yeah, Joel, sorry.
Yeah, okay. So I just wanted to tie two things to this story about Burkina Faso. One has to do with the most recent CARICOM heads of government conference, which took place in Barbados a couple of weeks ago, and some of the outcomes. I guess naturally that it would have made the news, and I was a little bit out of touch for the last week or so, Pigeon, because my
I was so busy engaged. Otherwise,
yeah. So it was the music, that got to me rather than the news. So
it sounded like touch there, man. Music in me.
the music, yes, I've been going crazy. Yeah. So, but a couple of the outcomes, and one of the things is the enhanced integration of the treaty provisions and so on. See, we got the time to move, and I think Mia Motley and made the statement, and others as well, that look, our population, because of our declining birth rates and so on, we need to do something to get the best of our talent across our borders, and we should not create these borders as they exist before, as they exist now, and so forth. So that rather than go through the laborious bureaucratic process of where the work permits and we must make it much easier for a firm or entity in one country to hire talent from another country at ease, and for nationals to move and work with considerable ease, and if they so choose. And that actually the 1st of June, which is just a few months away, that they would say, well, okay, we're not going to waste any more time. We're going to implement this thing. We talked too long, and so forth. And that the CSME in its full meaning, full intent, will come into being, where nationals would be able to move from one jurisdiction to the next. But it is not a unanimous decision. They will say those who are interested to go ahead, then they can go ahead, because I believe that some countries at this time say, shucks, boy, I can't open my doors to given the situation in Haiti, for example, and so on. It's very difficult for me to open my island with 100,000, 180,000, and so just like that. But those who are willing to go ahead and lead the way. So that is one of the things that came out. And I mentioned the aging population. The another that was mentioned. Oh yes, the question of removing non-tariff barriers. There are articles that provide preferential treatment for some market, like in the OECs, for example, and so on. But putting aside these articles, there are the private sector organization of the region actually identified as many as 57 non-tariff barriers. That these things that are there and so on, they might not be formalized, say at the customs or anything like that, but it still creates problems for goods to move from one market to a next within the region. So those have to be being addressed. The question of they spoke about the issue of taxing Netflix and WhatsApp and so forth. Because look at so many of us in the region actually use Netflix, right? And we pay to Netflix for the use of their service. So Netflix earns considerable revenue from around the world. And by the way, I saw a chart with the largest companies in the world. I just saw it by coincidence last night, I think, or sometime yesterday. And Netflix was actually one of those at the near the top. Apple was at the very top, and then they had the Chinese, and then Netflix was up there in the top 5, and so forth. And so, why is it that Netflix must not pay tax to the region? We know the issue with Airbnb as well, as more and more persons set up their apartments and small guest houses and so forth, and they subscribe to Airbnb to get their to promote their properties and so forth. That Airbnb, they will make the money, but these owners, or Airbnb for that matter, they don't pay any taxes into the government and so on. So that too has to be addressed and so forth. So I think that is very noteworthy. And then the question of food security is a major issue, and I know that there's a strong, strident move afoot to actually have Guyana as being the center of agricultural production and for the region, but with the participation of citizens of the region. So you may not have the land if you're of Vincentian, but you can be a farmer and
In Guyana.
and so forth. You can do work in Guyana. And then also what I like about the concept as well is the transformation, the conversion of the raw material, the products that come out of the ground or from the trees, and that there'll be like science parks and so on. And this is something, by the way, I've advocated on this program before, that we can actually have a facility that each small enterprise, he or she or they do not have to necessarily go and set up their own agro-processing facility, but they can actually take their goods to a particular central location where they can optimize the technology that is there and so on, along with the technicians and the food technologists and so forth that is there. And so Guyana will also have things like that. And it helps the region in a big way. And then, of course, now the question of transportation and the whole question of the ferry service and all of that, how you can get between islands, goods between islands and between easily. The other question...
But before you go on to the question, Joel, I could see easily joint venture entities or enterprises between Guyanese and other people across the region. In fact, across the region, period. Putting capital under certain, legal or like a company framework, and be powerful investors in whatever thing it is in Guyana.
Yes, exactly. So there's nothing wrong with you. You have a Trinidadian colleague with whom you have interfaced over the years at conferences overseas to focusing on something to do with agriculture. And you feel, well, okay, let's take it to another step. That, well, I might only have a little 30 acres in St. Vincent. He or she might have 80 acres, 100 acres. But together in Guyana, we can actually be able to lease land. That gives us 5,000 acres, 3,000 acres, 1,000 acres, 500, whatever the case might be.
My question would be, though, does the legal framework exist for that? And also the whole question of the capital formation framework, do they exist? And are the governments willing, if they don't exist, are the governments willing or prepared to facilitate that?
And my understanding is a very strong strident yes, that particularly the government of Guyana is very keen, very gung-ho on facilitating same. You spoke about capital formation. There's also funding sources that makes it easier for some of these enterprises to get going. And the focus, of course, is to get young people and so on to take up the challenge and go there. You don't have to spend 12 months in every year, but you can come and go as you choose, and so on. You can get funding for the equipment and make sure that you use the most modern techniques of cultivating and harvesting and so forth. And I think it's a wonderful it's a wonderful initiative, and let us see where it goes, and as quickly as possible. The other thing has to do with one other thing they mentioned about vehicle driver's license, that you have a current license in St. Vincent, that you don't need to go into or a police station in Trinidad or in Barbados and so on, and try and get another license and so on. And even though they're cheap, sometimes you may pay $10 or whatever the case might be, and so on. But by and large, your license.
But I'm smiling because, I mean, if you live in Canada or the US, it's the same driver's license you use. If you drive across the Canadian border or you back into the US, it's the same driver's license.
You don't have to go and
see. So I'm saying, and I'm smiling, why is it taking us so long to see these things?
Yes.
Thing,
we're driving the same types of vehicles
on the same side of the road
and so forth, right? So that thing, and also but if you have the ferries that can move the transport vehicles as well, just like how we go to Beckway, and vice versa with our vehicles, you would be able to go on a ferry to Barbados, and of course, and then drive off.
The challenge there would be though insurance. Would the insurance companies allow that? To what extent?
The insurance have a role to play, and I think that is also part of the discussions and so on. So it's the driver's license, the vehicle license, and the question of insurance as well. And so it's a good thing as well that we have a unity among insurance companies in the region, and so it's not that as difficult and so forth. And then of course the other issue had to do with the crime and the trans-border cooperation and so forth, and the role of the regional security system impacts and others. And then of course then there will be some foreign policy issues that came up for discussion and so forth. We still have the question of climate change, climate action to deal with, and the support of the UN Secretary General and others and so on. The head of the European Commission and so on was also involved. And then the Venezuela-Guyana continuing dispute. That by itself needs a separate discussion because that couldn't for a while. But I do hope that we're not going to make something like this keep us back. I think that I saw a video last night with some very, very strident, if not belligerent comments by the president of Venezuela and so on, which I say sometimes, if we can still continue while we try and get the issue resolved, let's continue to be, to hold a calm, as some of our leaders would say, and try and deal with the issues and hold your position if you care to, until such time that we can get the final ruling, and then hopefully that we'll all accept that and so on. And then again, accept at the end of this is the earth. I mean, why do you necessarily have to for the more land? And anyhow, so it's good to know that I like the direction in which CARICOM is going, and I took it as a point of departure when you spoke about Burkina Faso and so forth. I have one other issue to
just to say that I noticed also that both Cuba and Venezuela are supporting in a very material way the efforts of Burkina Faso to control their own destiny, basically. They have reached out in terms of military support and pledges, as well as medical. So I thought that's important for us to also take note of. Yeah, Joel.
Yeah, okay. Let me just touch on two other things quickly. One, I just wanted to mention 4 words: projects, program, people, and promotion. And in video, you find projects, promotion, by the way. Cecil.
I noticed it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I raised these words. I mentioned these words in the context of the implementation and the fulfillment of our goals and desires and so forth for social and economic development in St. Vincent and Grenadines and in the region as a whole. It's applicable to sports, it's applicable to culture, and it's applicable to socioeconomic programs as a whole. And the point that I really just want to make, without going into a lot of detail today, is one is that quite often we have ideas, concepts, and so forth. And the government, for example, may design and embark on a particular project. Projects would have a defined start and a defined end. For a particular purpose, projects tend to be foundational in their outlook. They provide a framework upon which programs and so on can be executed and developed, and it tend to have capital spend associated with it. Programs now is what the life. It's indefinite on the foundation that is created, because the life on its own can take us to higher heights, as we would say. But to get to those higher heights, we need promotion, continuous promotion, something that the people just tap into the pulse of the people. The people must buy into this thing and live out these programs. It just can't be thing where in a mechanistic, functional or bureaucratic way that person will just do things and say that they're implementing a program. It is something that people have to feel and so forth. And I raised the thing in the context. My mind ran on this with regard to sports in when I was thinking about this. So we have a project and in the Caribbean, and we build facilities, sporting facilities, and so forth. And we have done quite remarkably well in developing our cricketing grounds and so forth in the region. St. Vincent, we have the Annesville Sporting Complex. In Trinidad, remember at one time it was just only in the Queen's Park Oval. Now you can play international cricket at several grounds in Trinidad and so forth. Antigua, several, they're playing and so forth. Jamaica, several and so forth. And so forth. So we have made strides there. But our cricket development program has not been running apace with what we've been doing. And I think that we have been slipping behind badly. And the same thing is also applicable to football, even though that there's a greater passion for football to be played. Looking at the St. Vincent and Grenadines played against Grenada a couple evenings ago. And that is not even the crowd that you will see at the Victoria Park at a game between Rosians and Avenues or Rosians and Dames back in the day and so forth. And I said, well, what exactly is happening? You bring home your players. You want to take on the might of Jamaica soon on the 21st and the 25th of March and so forth. But what's happening until you get the best of the facilities, a nice, good surface for playing football and so forth. But where are the crowds, where are the people and so forth? And the same thing too is that sometimes the talent that is there, our talent didn't just decline like that. It is something physiological, something that is, and it just doesn't disappear unless there's something that is radical and so forth. And one of the things that particularly, and it's applicable to cricket, and I'm now talking about the program, is that you may actually have children going to secondary schools, and I can speak with certainty. They have never held a cricket ball in their hand, and they're now 14, 15, and never held a cricket ball, and so forth. They never held a cricket bat. And so what are we doing? So we spend the millions for the project, but where's the money on the program? What are we doing to infuse, to create a particular pulse among the young men in particular who seem to get, well, they're now, I wouldn't want to say distracted, but their interest is elsewhere and so forth. And what are we doing to talk about cricket development and sport and so forth? And now we have persons who play one sport. Long ago, if you may recall, that you could have had on the national cricket team 4 or 5 persons who also played football on the national football team. And some of them played table tennis, and some of them were good at at athletics and so forth, and they were very involved and so forth. So in other words, we have people with, and I'm using the term athletic prowess broadly, as a person with athletic prowess and so on, and we're not being able to motivate to and so forth. And to my mind, we cannot simply focus on projects alone, as I defined it earlier on, without ensuring that the programs that involved, that means, and it's not just the government, it just have to be using the sporting organizations, national, the clubs and so forth, the communities, everybody have to get together. And to that, we in the West Indies, in where cricket is concerned, we can actually be where we were in 1980 or 1985 or 1990. We can get back there. But we just have to make sure that these 4 things or 5 things are fused together: projects, program, people, promotion, and the pulse. That these are the things that we need to be able to galvanize. One last comment on this question is I went into the staff room of the St. Vincent Grammar School recently to collect a shirt for Lopios, just the day before the grammar school, high school athletics meet. And it was around lunchtime, and there were teachers in the room having their lunch. And I don't know, maybe there might have been 16 or 18 persons in the room, but they were all female. And in jest, because I knew what the answer was, in jest, I asked the question whether or not there was a male staff room, which is the route to the male staff room. 1 or 2 persons did not necessarily take kindly to my asking such a question. And the majority ignored me, and one person said, I was just trying to make a point that we'd have to ask, as we talk about International Women's Day, and so we have to ask the question, well, what about what are the men in the teaching profession and so forth? And this is, I was told that there were 3 men, there are 3 male teachers. That's what I was told. I may be correct, at the St. Vincent Grammar School. I also found out that there are several primary schools in St. Vincent that don't have any male teachers at all, and so forth. And this is something that we have to address, even as we talk about International Women's Day and where we're going, that we have to virtually ask. I know we're supposed to celebrate International Men's Day and so on, but we have to ask ourselves exactly what is happening and how we can actually bring back the interest of young men and so on into traditional sports, and how we can get how male teachers can provide the role of mentoring and coaching and so forth, and to encourage, and counseling to encourage young men to come, because there's a life that awaits them today more than in the past. That way they can make a good living playing the sports that we traditionally played. So that's the thing that I just wanted to make about the question of, we have to marry the projects, the programs, the consequential programs, and get the people and so on involved, which ties in with my last comment, Pijan and Cecil. Next Friday, we celebrate National Heroes Day. And I tied in with a comment I heard from when I was in Trinidad, that there's someone who resides overseas. I said that they were listening to the Issue at Hand program on Facebook, and they enjoyed the program that featured the discussion on the spiritual Baptist, which had Dr. Fraser, Dr. Scott, and I think Dr. Denny, not Dr.
Dr.
Thomas.
Denny didn't
wasn't
get
here.
to
Not
come
Dr.
in.
Thomas.
But Dr.
was-
Carter came on.
and
in
Dr.
the-
Carter,
in the
yes,
end.
Yeah.
along with Dr. Noel McBarnett, so on. So, and they said that they were quite impressed with the program and some of the things that came out of it. And one of the things that I just wanted to raise as we come up to the first holiday to celebrate the spiritual Baptist is that whether or not we would be doing a disservice if we celebrate the day, but yet we also celebrate the name of the man who actually caused the banning from worship.
As
of
in
the-
Murray Road.
as in the person of Charles Gideon Murray. Just because they asserted that, well, they were shouting and so on. He was on his horse and he fell off the horse and was embarrassed as a result and so forth. And just by that act, he said, well, no, we got to do something about these people. And we have to, I think we ought to, if not have to, and I'm just going along the same line with Ibrahim Traore and said, we got to actually, that has been around too long. I read back in 2008 in the Searchlight newspaper, that is 16 plus years ago, almost 17 years ago, that there was a comment by Prime Minister Gonsalves on the very question. I said he put it out there, and he didn't say necessarily what action should be taken, but he basically saying, he made comments about the type of person that Charles Gideon Murray was. I spoke about Higginson Street and some others, right? And I also mentioned on this program before, I believe, without conclusive proof, that how names like Paul's Lot came around, and French's and so forth. I googled the thing on French and so on, and said maybe it had to do with the French settlers, but that's what AI said. But I don't necessarily believe that. AI was just throwing out some possibilities. But I do believe that it may have to do with this gentleman French and so on. And that is how Frenches could have come around. And again, with the gentleman, Mr. Paul, and so on. I think he was either a magistrate or a lawyer, something like that. And these all things took place in St. Vincent around the turn of the 19th century, 1810, 1820, 1830, 1835, and so forth. And you can see the plaques in the walls of the Anglican Church in Kingstown as a tribute to both Mr. French and Mr. Paul in the church right now. And so I'm just saying that these are things that we can change. I am advocating that guidelines should be committees or commissions should be set up, and that can make the cabinet and so on can take guidelines and so forth as to what can be done in terms of renaming communities. And we don't have to do everything one time. We can do a few at a time, and every year and so forth. There must be consultation, I think, with the residents of the community. It's the report is sent back to the cabinet takes to the cabinet, and we can see if there is there's a sell on this, and I believe that persons by and large will buy into it. And then even as you're naming the community or naming the street, you don't have to make the change immediately. You can decide to make it immediately, or you can do like what they do in Canada and some places in the States. Like if, for example, there's a street called Chapel Hill Street or Chapel Hill Road in North Carolina, and they feel that Michael Jordan's contribution is so significant, and so this is the thing. They actually have both names and so on that sign until such time at later day that you can transition over to Michael Jordan. And so I just use that as an example. And it's a thing that we can do. So we should not, I know that there are persons who don't want anything to be changed, but certainly I don't see how we can accept that we understand what's happening with the spiritual Baptists. We're going to accept the creation of the holiday and so forth. And yet at the same time, be proud to accept that the road of the community, in the name of the principal architect of the banning of the Shaker Baptist for 41 years, I think it is, 4 decades, and so on, that we must continue to live in such a community without even knowing, like, well, who the person is and so on. But now we know, and so on. And I think that now we got to really make that change. So I have, but I will stay there for now, Cecil, until and I have some other comments on the question of International Women's Day.
Yeah, we'll come to that in a while more fully. But I want to just, the point you raise about what I see as the dichotomy between the provision of, if you like, the project part of it, facilities and so on, as opposed to the corresponding rise in the skills of our sportsmen and women, and the attendance to these facilities. I see it as a dichotomy, in the sense that on the one hand, government is, well, rightfully so, providing and upgrading these facilities, whether it's here in St. Vincent and Grenadines, or in Trinidad, or in Guyana, or in Jamaica. That's happening. My dissatisfaction, and where I agree with you fully, is that we're not seeing a corresponding rise in the skills levels. And I may be criticized for this, but that's my observation. And certainly a corresponding rise in the attendance, people's attendance at these games. I'm mindful of the fact that the netballers in St. Vincent right now are ranked netball team is ranked number 3 in the Caribbean. And I saw something where it said there's Jamaica, Trinidad, Vinci, and then Barbados. So I appreciate that, and I give commendation to the women who are involved in the netball. But I think for a long time, folks, certainly in football and cricket, I think, yeah, they're trying, but I don't know if they have the skill levels that can bring them up.
Talk about the women's game or the game generally?
Cricket.
I thought about games generally.
Oh, okay.
Male or female?
Cricket, football, all of them. I am not impressed with the skills level. In fact, I watched partly on TV that game between Grenada and St. Vincent recently, and I wasn't impressed with the type of playing. I mean, I'm not a footballer. I'm not a coach, but I watch other games, other football things on television, and I see the level of skill, the construction of plays and so on as they move towards the goal. I don't see that, and I don't know who to blame for that. But I think once those things are not there, you won't have people going to watch these games. I mean, when you see like two players, a defender and an attacker, and the attacker outplays the defender, or vice versa, that's what gets people excited and want to see more of that, and they go and watch the games. But you don't see that with our play in our parts. So yes, I lament the fact that the attendance is usually low. Certainly, that game on which day? It was Thursday. But you can't blame the people. The level of excitement from the players is not there. The facilities are there. Bright lights under the lights in Farmers Vale and so on and so forth. But
By the way, what was the score Thursday?
1-1.
1-1.
And Grenada's own goal, basically.
Yeah, the 2 goals were scored in the last few minutes.
Yeah, John.
By Grenada?
Well, yeah, you're right. By Grenada. Sorry, I shouldn't be laughing. But yeah, by Grenada. Grenadians scored the goals.
Yeah, just a couple of things, right? First of all, let me say something that is positive. I am pleased to see what is happening at the regional level into the regional cricket. At one time, we weren't scoring a lot of runs now. So let me just that even like the Windwards and so on, I saw a dismal performance at Arnes Vale when they played against Jamaica a month and a half ago. But they made 480 recently, and they beat I remember who they were playing against.
Leewards? Was it the Leewards? Volcano?
Probably the Leewards, yes.
Hurricane?
And there were two centuries.
I think it was the Leewards.
Yes, Shaqiri, Paris, and Ryan John from Grenada. But in this tournament so far, I think there were about 26 or 27 centuries already have been scored, which is significant. But what I'm finding is that there is no exciting fast bowling talent is emerging. And so when you see some players, they're basically medium pacers or fast medium, but who are getting wickets, along with the spinners traditionally, and so forth. You recognize that West Indies, despite the talent of a Viv Richards and a Gordon Greenwich and so forth, or then a Brian Lara afterward, you still needed our strength, our trump card was in the fast bowlers. And we're not producing them. So we have to know where, and I'm just making, there's no change in the physiological being of the young West Indian male today, as say 40 or 50 years ago, and so on. So what's it that we are not working on the programs to harness that? Now I go back to school now. We are not playing, we're not talking cricket, we're not seeing cricket, although we can see it. Long ago, you hear about Gary Sobers or Frank Wall without, all you're looking at is photographs, There's no video or hardly a video that you can see. But now you can take your cell phone or, even in class, sometime you can actually say, well, we're going to look at a recent or go back a game when West Indies won the World Cup back in whenever. Or go back to 2016 when we won the last T20 and so on. And let the young boys see this. They're not playing the cricket in the schools and so forth. They're not encouraged to participate. What about the girls even? What about the female? I see some of the female cricketers out of Australia and England. It is clear that they're playing cricket and so on. Are we encouraged to play cricket in the secondary school among the girls? I don't think so either. It's not happening. And that's why I'm thinking about the program, that we have to get these things going. And then we have to enter into the minds of the children. And it is the female teachers can do it, but I believe that the male teachers right now, today, not necessarily tomorrow, right now can do maybe a better job in actually promoting and encouraging that. But then the male teachers, they don't exist where this is concerned. And the things have to happen. Now, to come to what you said a while ago, when we had the 3 one-day matches, the 3 T20 matches, West Indies versus Bangladesh in December, the crowds were phenomenal. And but something has to give. If football or soccer, as we say, is the game of the people, what happened to the folks? What happened? It wasn't well promoted. I don't know.
Well, I still don't blame the folks. If the players are playing exciting, whether it's football or if they're playing generating a lot of excitement, people will go. I believe people will go. It's like mass carnival. People go because there's excitement in the music, excitement in the mass, excitement in the displays and so on. People go. It's not part of the culture. People have fun. But I don't think the same thing is happening in the area of sports generally. Not here only, but also across the region. I think the players need to lift their game and provide a lot more excitement to patrons.
Yes. Although I think that in Trinidad, it seems to me that Trinidad has a far better developed local cricketing structure than the rest of the region. Jamaica just doesn't have it.
Well, Jamaica has it in the area of football. Jamaican football is exciting,
and the athletics,
and you could see the attendance, the turnout when they're having matches in Jamaica. But I think their level is is much higher than ours.
Yes. So that is why you recall that in the last set of games, I think there's a statistic where we see the last 3-4 games that St. Vincent and Grenadines played against Jamaica. that I think Jamaica just leading St. Vincent 2-1
Mhm.
and so forth. And there were times when St. Vincent was better than Jamaica. I recall this famous game in Jamaica. Fitzbramble will be aware of that game. He was the goalkeeper at the time when we were St. Vincent in Jamaica, were leading 3-1 in the 89th minute or the 87th minute of the game. And in the score still ended up being 3. It ended up being a draw in Kingston. And that was maybe 20, some 20.
That was
years.
in the 90s.
Late 90s, I think.
No, I think it might have been
Early-
early
early
90s.
Early 90s.
Because I remember when Jamaica came here to play, and they knew, and they marked Cham
That was
Jack.
probably 92.
They knew in 92. Yeah.
I was in Jamaica at the time studying.
It was
I could
92.
remember-
In
I
fact,
think-
the World Cup trial.
Yeah.
And they heard about Cham Jack. They marked him, and they put him out all in the game. they gave him a rough play, and he had to be left the game. Because St. Vincent then was the Vince Heaton. I don't know if they were called Vince Heaton. I don't recall. They were strong. They had skills. I mean, people went to see the matches because there were skills, and these guys they played well. But now I don't think it's the same.
But
thing.
we have some players.
Whereas we have better facilities, as you said, the facilities are good, but I see somebody might want to come in on this part of it. Let's take this call. Good morning. Welcome to the program.
Morning. It's Frankie.
Frankie.
Frankie Bong.
Okay.
Yeah, that is in the 90s. I was at that game, and T got Davis is the man who equalized.
Oh, in extra time.
What, that was in Jamaica
Yeah,
you're talking about?
In Jamaica.
Oh, yes.
Because I went to Jamaica in 1990 to 93, and I witnessed the game. We had a big contingent of students there watching the game.
Yeah, Vince organized that.
Yeah, we had a good thing. And the team, I tell you, we outplayed them. I think the guy Slick Boy didn't have them won the team at the time. It was a good team. Very good team. All right.
Yeah, okay. Great. So,
Brought back memories to Frankie.
So now, but based on what we see and so forth, and based on Jamaica's track record over the last 25 years or so, we would go to Arnersville, and I hope that a lot of person turn up, and that we can demonstrate that we can still compete. But we get the feeling that we're not in the same
league.
Same league as Jamaica. But still, at the same time, we have some individual talented players in the mix who actually had opportunities to play in the United States, to play in Europe, and so on. And they're back on the team. We have a coach with great experience and so on who played in the professional league in person of Ezra Hendrickson and so on. So we have some, but something's wrong.
A question: how much do off the field factors contribute to performance on the field?
When you say off the
Off
field, what do you include?
Like for example, problems over leadership.
Well, obviously,
and personality issues and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think they will contribute, but yeah. But generally, I think it's what I consider to be, as I said before, the dichotomy between the facilities that have been being provided as against the low level, in my view, of the performance of players generally. I'm not talking only about footballers or just generally across the sports, and the fact that there's not much excitement to attract people to go. And I think those are the factors.
There was one time we had club football in St. Vincent and Grenadines, and then we changed to the league system to allow a greater spread. So you got teams from Barley or from Georgetown and so forth. But and I remember that there were some persons from Kingston who were in the administration of football of clubs in Kingston were actually adamant that the change of the so-called club structure should not be changed. that there should be no change in the club arrangements, where they had 4 or 5 dominant clubs, and they just got the best players from around St. Vincent. They went scouting, and they saw somebody out of Georgetown or Trumaka, wherever the case might be, a good talent, and they roped them in, as we would say, into hundreds, avenues, whichever team and so on. And so that you can actually find that at one time, like Notre Dame, and this is going back a very, very long time, that they actually had 4 or 5 or 6 even national players within their club. And the structure, how they put together their football, and subsequently with Rosians, with the Low Brothers and Hammers Batiste and others, and then the Millingtons with Sign Hill and so forth, that they really had good talent. But in the teams now, when you pull together the best of a team from a particular league, the cohesion and so on is not there, and it takes a while to work it into the national team. And so this is some of the issues. But at least I can say that there is more funds coming into football. We're talking about a semi-professional league to come around, but we've just got to make sure that we find the talent at the age of 12 or 13. We can't wait until they're 17 or 18 and see what can be done to harness what we have and so forth. So I just make that point as we get the projects, good. We have to have the programs, yes, but at the end, and even that with the programs, they would not mean anything unless we have the entire gamut of factors coming together.
Let's take this call and hear this person. Good morning. Welcome to the program.
My Cecil, good morning. My name is Dion. I just want to say something to Cecil. I think they say those guys that played Thursday, they was all local guys. Most of them is not on the team. So don't feel too bad, Cecil. Most of them is not on the team coming up against Jamaica. You understand? So don't feel too bad. Those people
no. That went, that match played. So you're telling me?
No, that's just a friendly.
Hold on. I hear you. Yeah. You hear me now. I hear you. Yeah. But that game was played. And
okay, all right. I'm not going to argue with you, but I was just saying that's what I was told.
I understand you. I understand you, but I'm making a point. I'm making a point if you just listen. Yes, so I'm saying in response to the point that you're making, I'm saying that game was played. And
you wasn't excited about it. You wasn't. It didn't please you. I understand.
Yeah, but hold on a minute. Let's still make it come.
Sorry, it's okay. I'd give it to you. Go on, finish.
No, Joel, I wanted to say something to you. Don't forget Rick Superstars. When Superstars came into the league, it changed football in St. Vincent.
You really?
Don't forget that.
Okay, that is. All right, we can discuss that. I had
Joel, come on, Joel, come on now.
Superstars or superstars?
Pete, Slick, Spartai, Mazai. Everybody wanted to be them guys when St. Vincent soccer changed, Joel. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from Gailo and Raltino. Don't forget, they was Rosians. They were the bad boys.
Yes.
But when talking about ball control and putting the ball and holding the ball for 4 or 5 passes, Gailo and them was the English style back then. Hit the ball long and they run and they score. Right. But then Superstars changed that game where you had to possess the ball. That changed the soccer.
Okay,
Don't forget that.
Yeah, I hear you. And you just called 4 names, solid names.
Luxie Morris, Ali Bice, goalkeeper. Superstars have about 9 players playing for the national team at that time.
All right. Okay.
But what is the summary? No, but what is the summary of the point you're making? Give us a summary.
No, what I'm saying to Joel, he was talking about Rosens and avenues. I from Paul's Avenue.
No. But hear me. We were Joel raised a question this morning of projects, promotion, people, and program. Hold on.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
And he was making the point that whereas some facilities have been improved, we're not seeing the attendance at the games. And he was making the point that programs have to be introduced early, and we really have to stick with the program. So I'm saying, what is your What is your summary point in response?
Well, let me say something. Is something like that, like a friendly game? I don't think people are interested in going to that. That's what I would say. I don't people take people because I talked to someone say went to the game. He said, "Did I watch them Grenadians and Simmons play a friendly match? That it didn't excite them." So you have to understand that too. It was just a friendly or warm up game. People wasn't that interested.
Well,
But
look,
come
put the game aside. Put the game aside.
Mhm.
But just generally, given the point that Joel was making, generally, what is your reaction?
We have to do a lot more for sports. We have to.
What do you mean by doing
We
that?
have the facilities. You could say we have the facilities and stuff. Like
No. Hear me.
Yeah. Mhm.
I'm saying so, but it's not me saying so, but because if you go to Honestfield, you would agree
Yeah.
that the facilities have been
Yeah.
improved, won't you?
No, I'm not
Won't
saying,
you?
but just give me a second.
No, but I'm asking a
Hey,
pointed question.
Yes.
Right, and
but give me a
across the
second, right?
country, hold on, across the country, there have been improvement in some facilities, many facilities, and haven't there been?
Yes, no,
Right.
but just give me a second now. Give me a second, all right? Now, Joel, say you went in the grammar school and it's all female teachers. What I think the government need to implement now, you have to have somebody, like I say, like a technical coach or something going to these schools where they have to have sports program. And that's probably going to help the development. Because if you don't have somebody going into the schools and bringing them out and say, well, okay, we're going to do this in the afternoon. This is the program we're going to start with, teaching them netball, teaching them football and cricket. We don't have nobody that's doing that. You understand? These kids have to do it for themselves. I remember going prep school, Cardo used to come every day. Do you ever know this? Cardo used to come 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, he take me out of school and we have soccer program going on. Saturdays, Sundays. Where is that person to go into grammar school, let me say prep school or them schools and bring out the kids and start teaching them?
They have a
Where's that
games
program?
master. They have games masters now, but I think the
Yeah.
focus is by and large on physical education primarily, except during the athletic season.
But Joel, you know that's where we start the programs. You have to have that every day. You have to have that person who's gonna be dedicated. You don't have the dedicated people in St. Vincent anymore who's willing to do that. Everybody when they finish work now is, oh, but I got home for meet my kids. I ain't had time with them there. You understand? And I hear it all the time. And you can't deny it as well. Now, Joel, you're talking about doing this thing. Does you go in the villages and talk to people and say, y'all need to come out? I mean, when you finish, you sound good on the radio on a Sunday. Don't get me wrong, enough. I'm not bashing you. But what do you follow up and do after that? What is your follow up after that, Joel?
Our function is to talk. And there's a place for talk.
No, come on, Pigeon. Come on,
There is a
Pigeon.
place for talk.
You just can't talk. But they see that's part of the problem.
No, but
And
let's
the
be
solutions.
realistic. Let us be realistic. Let's be
Yeah.
realistic. And well, Pigeon made the point, and I agree with Pigeon. Oh, right now, where we are in the aging
So then
process.
the Prime
Hold
Minister
on. Let's listen to each other, no man. We're having a conversation.
Okay.
We're
Yeah, go
listening
ahead.
to you,
Okay,
but
go ahead.
here's the thing. Listen to us when we're speaking.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So I'm saying Pigeon is correct by when he said we talk. Because frankly speaking, and to be practical about the thing, you really expect after, like Joel raised because of the shortcoming in terms of sports right now. You expect Joel and me and Pigeon, Joel in particular, to go out and mobilize the youngsters to play.
No.
Why? But why?
No. I ain't say you have to do that. But I say you have the influence to make it happen. You understand? Joel have the I'm not saying Joel next really need to go out in the villages and do that, But I'm saying he have the ability to make a call. He could say, make sure these are being done. Joel could do that. No,
I ain't quite understand. I ain't quite follow
shit.
you. I ain't quite follow you. Maybe Joel follow you. I don't know. But I don't quite follow you. When you say Joel has could make the call, what do you mean?
Like to talk to people, say, well, listen, we need to call up the CEOs and them who in charge of sports and all these things. Let's try to make these things start happening. We can't wait for the Prime Minister to do everything, or you go to the Prime Minister to do this. We have people that you give jobs to. Let it start doing their job. Let it start getting up and going out there. Like you're talking about agriculture, let the people in them start going out and make sure things are in place. You understand? It's saying people planting food and all these stuff. There's a lot of things that people don't do. You understand? They just sit down at the computer and watching it and say, oh, this, that, and that. But nobody going out to do the work. That's my point.
Okay, I hear you. Just to enclose on this though, that I try to support young talent where I can. For example,
And I appreciate that.
and I did
And I appreciate that.
yeah, and I have a particular interest in Trumaca and in North Leeward, and as
Right.
well as in East St. George, in Fairhall, Calicut, and the like. So,
But I want to, before you go, I want to come back to you. By the way, your name is Leon,
Yeah.
right? Leon?
Yeah, yes.
Okay,
sir.
Leon. All right.
Yes, sir.
So I appreciate the fact that you're saying that, we could make calls, perhaps so. But I want to appreciate the point that Peach made earlier about our role is to talk. Maybe we need to
No,
talk.
Cecil, Mr.
Hold
Ryan,
on, hold
Mr.
on.
Ryan,
Let me
you're
finish
saying the
now.
wrong thing.
No. Well,
Yeah.
let me finish now. So you understand me.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to talk on the program on Sundays, but we need to also do some other kind of talking, as you were saying.
Yes.
But I also
Yes.
want to find out what
Mhm.
what can you do?
Me?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't know, but I mean,
you see, I don't have to come and toot my horn, but just
we're
ask,
not. No,
ask the
no, we're
considered
not
man.
asking you to toot
Yeah.
no horn. We just want to
Oh,
work
okay.
together. That's all. We just want to work
yeah.
together.
I don't put it this way. I just play my role.
all right, okay.
But you're a
I just
footballer.
play
You're a
my role.
footballer yourself, though. Are you a footballer? You sound so.
Well, I'm from Parsley, so you know.
No, it doesn't mean that you're
everybody-
automatically a
everybody-
footballer.
No, I don't. No, I'm from your age now. You know, I old now, so.
You
know
know,
what I
you
mean?
don't know
But
my age. You don't know my age, so you can't say
passionate about
that.
the game.
But you can still do
Mr. Ryan, I
things.
know-
You
trust-
can still
trust me.
you can still do things.
Listen, trust me.
It's all
Trust
right.
me.
But anybody who could speak
Trust
about
me,
the beginning of
When UPM was in
superstars.
Paul, when UPM was in Paul's Avenue, I was selling newspaper. Okay.
It's all right. I don't
Okay,
doubt. I don't
okay,
doubt.
okay,
I
okay,
appreciate
okay.
that. I have to appreciate. But
Okay,
still, I'm saying
okay.
we can work together. That's my point. We can work together
Yes.
to make things happen
Yeah,
Yeah.
better.
agree.
That's all the point I'm making.
And Joel, don't forget, superstar strange football in St. Vincent. Anybody will tell you that.
All right, my
All
friend.
right, okay,
Take care,
all right.
Leon.
All right.
Okay, thank you very
All right.
much. Thank you for your contribution.
Interesting. Yeah.
Superstars. I forgot superstars. But my problem is that I was out of the country for a good period when superstars was in its
Well,
it's in its heyday. So the fault lies with me.
We have a comment here I want to read. This person says, "Good morning, gentlemen. I totally agree with the that excitement has to be created so that the fans can patronize. It was disappointing that the football game was poorly attended, but it is even more disturbing. But it's even more disturbing that people don't feel as though they missed anything.
Oh,
Well, they didn't
good
expect,
point.
from what our friend just said, Ilian, people didn't expect much from the game. So I guess they won't feel like they missed anything. But it's true, they didn't feel like they missed anything.
I just if I just add Cecil and Pijan, I remember a long time ago when this is 1979. They had the Soufriere eruption. They didn't have a football season, but we were getting ready to participate in CFU and so forth. And they used to be at Arnersville. I think Sylvester Taylor was the manager. I think Rudy Bouch might have been the coach. And persons used to just go to Arnersville just to watch the St. Vincent team practice among themselves.
Yeah.
And so on. But that was the day.
Yeah. All right. So you also mentioned, Joel, the question of National Heroes Day. I just want to pay recognition to the fact that and the celebration coming up this month being National Heroes Heritage Month, that the government has acquired badly so, and that's not insignificant. That's a significant step. I remember we had a discussion on here some time ago, but I hope now that it has been acquired, that there would be the next step in terms of establishing. I don't know what it is they're going to establish there to give it fuller meaning in terms of its reclamation.
Yes, so that
It reminds me of what Traore is doing in in his country. Yeah, Joel, you coming in?
Just adding in, yes, I am in support. So this is by itself a project, the acquisition and so forth, right? And then we have to know what's the program and how we can be meaningful to the people and how we can promote it and how we can be part of the pulse and we can feel that there's a genuine people's participation and ownership of this facility and in terms of its role in our history.
We have Kojo online with us. Kojo, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning, Kojo.
Good morning. I listened to the program there, and I think one of the biggest problem having in the thing.
Having what?
I don't think people know the football time, because back in the day when I go to football, we used to go to see our star like Ralph Lowe, Guy Lowe. People had their name. They're going to watch.
So are you saying that there are no stars now? Are you saying there are no stars now?
No. I'm saying people knew the stars because they used to have a club. Like I was Rosians, I back Rosians because I'm from Rosians era. And, when Rosians play, you will go and watch Cecil because you still like the Militant Brothers. I used to like to watch them play. Peter and Luxie and them, they come from the leeward side before they end up in Superstars. They came out of, I think they came out of the Barrel League or something like. So all those things, people used to have a following. People used to have a team they love, And in that team, they had the star, People who love loyalty, people who love Guy Lowe, people who love Tweety Spence, them kind of guys. Goalkeeper. I used to love certain goalkeeper too, because they save good. And another thing again, my teacher, Thompson, he used to play, I think he used to play for Notre Dame or one of those teams.
Charles.
He was he's from French's side here somewhere. But he makes sure that we play football. He's one of the person who helped nurture Mazai from Orly, because Mazai used to go to Metley School. And people had a following of a team, and with that team, when they come a national team now, when you enter the national team like Raltilo, people going because Raltilo playing. They even say Raltilo was a man who he say doesn't matter which country you go, you have to score, and people like that.
So what do you think?
Like those things.
So what is the mismatch between the facilities and the?
I think the killing of that league, that tongue league, whatever they want to call it, clubs. I think when that died and it was supposed to go to villages, I don't think the enthusiasm went with it. The build up wasn't. They could have bring that in slowly before they kill the clubs in town or however they.
You mean the structure? You're talking about the structure of football. That's what
the structure. Yeah,
but beyond football, other sports, what would you say in terms of the mismatch between the facilities and
yeah, but now I see athletics getting that kind of a joy in it more than cricket and football. Back in the day, athletics wasn't no big thing, but now people enjoy in athletics. They Sharif Maloney, she went and represent us big day, and everybody is into that now. You need something to light the fire.
And how do you get that something? How do you get that something? That's something. How do you get that going?
They need to put back those clubs where people could, identify themselves with a club, and then also with a player. And I mean, like, you ask me any of those players, I mean, I watch it from here, but I don't know none of them at all, except for the coach.
Them are youngsters.
I really don't know.
Coach, them are youngsters. They're youngsters.
I know. But what I'm saying is that just like Shafiq Maloney is a youngster, but I know her.
Okay, fair enough.
What I'm saying is that the promotion of those players individually is not known, so you can't get excited to go and watch Like they say, you can't get excited to go watch Kojo because you don't know Kojo.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
So
It's up to
the it's up to the various clubs to promote their players and their structures.
Yeah.
Okay. But I noticed some of it is being done these days on Facebook. You think there needs to be more of that? That's what you're saying?
Yeah, they need more groundwork, local Facebook. Some people go on Facebook, they don't even know who they watch it. Let people see them in town. Let people see them about. Because I could have walked down the road. I know where Mazda live. You know people. You see them. You recognize them. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Invite people to come watch them practice and all that kind of thing. Don't make it no secret thing. Bring them out. Bring people to see. I just think that the build up, the excitement is not there because people don't know some of the players.
And we're talking about, you're talking about not only football, but you're talking about cricket, you're talking about netball.
No, cricket too, yeah.
And netball and all the sports.
Yeah, because I watch some netball games that from on Facebook and I see the stand. No men, hardly any men up there, anything. Back in the day, man used to go watch netball. I hear man talking about as women's sports and back in them day, we didn't have nothing like that. We go watch netball.
No, because I used to enjoy going to netball and seeing even they had like the Stella Boys and so on, and back before them and so on. It was exciting.
Stella Boy, when she make them split at defense stop, when she split out, she get and stop the ball. People out jumping up because them is move, them is good move.
So again, you're talking about the level of skill, the skills level.
Yeah, that too. But the skill ain't coming. The skill ain't coming because you don't have that organized body that dealing with the sport individually. I mean, like they say they have a football association, but I mean, back in the day, you like Bunkerton and man running football. You hear football and you talking about football all the time. You know, even Leacock. The man was dedicated to the sport. I think a lot of people now dedicate to the organization and not the sport.
Mm-hmm. So you need a greater promotion and greater commitment. Those are some of the things you're talking about.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks
for calling in. Okay. I have to read this one from I'm reading this comment, WhatsApp comment. It's saying, it is always my view that cricket West Indies should play a bigger role in developing the cricket product from the grassroots level instead of waiting and hoping that we get good players to make the West Indies team. Cricket West Indies make the cricket product so they can make money to run the game. Without a good marketable product, they won't be able to make money by attracting the bigger teams. I am yet to see a developmental program from kiddies cricket to senior cricket competition. Take, for example, we had Scotia Kiddies Cricket. What did that achieve other than a few girls and boys on a marketing display to promote Scotiabank? Couldn't that money be placed in running a primary school competition? Pointed questions, Joel.
Yeah, well, at what stage should Cricket West Indies intervene? Because they actually are working at the local level as well. They're not just on the regional scene alone. They're not just organizing regional competitions. They have local programs. They have a coaching program to make sure they get more and more coaches in each territory participate and so on. They actually support the administration of cricket at a local level. Now, the question of scouting and talent recognition, and then you take it from there. At what particular point? I believe, just like in swimming and other sports, but you got to look for the talent from age 11, 12, 13. and so forth.
And
And
this person is saying, sorry, from an early age.
right, but I'd say that is not for Cricket West Indies. I think that locally, just like in US baseball and so forth, but in the primary schools, yes, the Cricket West Indies can put some money behind it and so on to best that they can. But I think that the sports departments and the schools, just like how you have with our local athletic championship, the and so forth, that we need to do that ourselves until we are able to spot some talent, say at the age of 12, 13, or 14. And then Cricket West is going to say, okay, well, boy, this person is a special talent. We're going to keep an eye on them. And then also make sure when it's Easter, during the summer and so on, we can take them to Barbados, Grenada, and so forth, and make sure that we get the best out of them. But I think that locally,
but Joel, if they're going to harness the fruit,
yes.
don't you think there should be in from the ground to help
yes, but I'm
plant
saying,
and create
I'm saying
and
the
form
ground,
the fruit?
and I'm saying the ground should start around the age of 12, 13. Or
Well, for me, the ground should be
no,
from
but
the beginning.
But we have a responsibility as well. We have our
What
schools.
is the way?
We meaning the nation. We have a schools program. We have a sports department. We have games teachers. We have and so forth. We have to do our part with the 6, 7, 8-year-olds and so on. We have. I don't know how many schools we have and so on, and in cinemas plus along the other. We have to do what we can.
I think,
and so that's the way it is.
yeah,
the Cricket West Indies can come by and talk with the games masters and the teachers and that kind of thing. But in terms of what happens in the school, how the teachers interact and talk about cricket and all that kind of thing, I think that we have to do that ourselves until the children get to a particular age. Cricket West Indies can actually ensure that, well, yes, okay, you have the programs going continuing in the school, that they don't die off. Like in school, we used to play house cricket. They don't have house cricket anymore, and so on.
But I really think there should, if you're going to harness the product, you should be there at the creation of the product to make sure the product is formed. But I say you should be there. You should contribute and indicate. Well, in practical terms, Cricket West Indies, they should find ways to collaborate more meaningfully to create that product that you're going to harness at the whatever period in time.
But yes, I agree. But you got to say the responsibility lies with the governments and the people and the schools here. Particularly those in the primary schools.
I'm not denying that. No. I'm not denying that.
We have to do that because we also have a responsibility.
Yeah. I agree with that, and I'm not denying that. But I think there could be a greater level of collaboration.
Well, maybe
between Cricket West Indies now, especially now, and the various points, various organizations, in this case, government, at the point of creation and formation of that product.
And I think, yes, I just believe that the best time to really get it going is really when they hit, even if you want to go to 11, when they hit secondary school and so forth, that can be done and so forth. But, I agree.
Not before that?
They could support differently. Put resources behind it, get them some small bats and balls and so forth.
Anyway, folks, we've spent a long time at the whole question of sport, but I think I want us to look now at the whole question of International Women's Day and how it has been going. There have been some activities. Bijan, I know you had to comment on some of those activities, and also what has brought us to this date, how it has happened, and how do we see it going forward? We have a call. Let's take this call and then we get back. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
I'm very sorry. Cecil Ryan?
Yeah, next time, please just turn down for us. Yes, Cecil is here. And you?
Right. I am Angela Idisha Jackson.
Oh, what? History is being created on international.
I've heard us seen in a long time. All the best.
Mommy, what's on video?
Oh, give greetings to your mom for me, by the way. on this special
Well,
day.
she's always listening to you and actually forces me to listen to you even when I don't want to.
Well, you should be listening to the most authoritative.
No, I would be honest to say that I find your program has denigrated a bit.
Okay.
But that's a story for another day. That's not the reason I called. So I'm not going to knock you too hard today.
Okay.
But the idea of having to always identify yourself and your forcefulness to ask in person to identify themselves kind of rubs me in the very wrong way. So
Why?
myself
Hold
and we're moving
on. You earlier, before you called, when Leon called, you notice after he say well, he confirmed because his name showed up. But after he confirmed that he's done, you notice the tone of the exchange became more friendly. You notice that?
No, I don't notice that, Cecil. I notice that sometimes you kind of forcefully ask person to identify themselves. Sometimes
but that's the
people
role
use
of the
this
program,
opportunity to vent on the radio.
Aidisha,
No,
that's the
that has
role of the
changed.
program.
It has changed.
No.
No, it has changed. It
Who
was
changed
never like
it?
that, Cecil.
Who changed it?
You did.
Oh, you mean from when it started? Yeah. We changed it because of certain circumstances.
You changed it, right?
Yeah. But I'm explaining.
Right.
We changed it because of certain circumstances, and plus, we have found that. And by the way, let me just break to say that I didn't change it by myself. There was a discussion, and we agreed.
Okay.
But we changed it because we find when we know who is, it's more, I mean, we may not know the person, but a name, you can say, hi, Aidisha, how are you doing? And so it makes it more intimate. And it makes it more amenable to a conversation. Anyway, but that's not what we called for.
Yeah, that's not what I called for. You're talking about a topic that is dear to my heart because I have 3 footballers in my house, right? So I know that you've moved on, but I've been trying for a little while to call, and I didn't get in. So I finally got in. So I just want to ask you to permit me to just, regress or go back a bit.
No, it's all right. Just go ahead.
So the thing for me with football and all the sports in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and more so in a lot of the Caribbean country is structures and program, which is what my brother Joel is saying. Morning, P. John. I forgot my man is morning, Joel.
Morning.
Right. So we have the facilities in place. We've built some nice stadiums. We've built some nice playing fields. We have a nice track. One of the issues is also usage. You understand? A lot of them don't have management committee that's the proper usage for persons to be able to go and practice football at any given time, any given day. They're not, a lot of the community fields are always cut and prepared for persons to practice in communities. I think we need a very serious structures with the grassroots football from 5 years old, 7 years old, 9 years old, 11 years old, and all the sports. Because we can't have force to be reckoned with in our national teams if we don't have the structures to filter up to the national team. When I look at the national team and you see persons who have issues with ball control or have issues with passing accurately, it's because we don't have all the structures in place to bring them up to where they should be. So again, I am blaming the government and blaming the federations, the sporting organizations as well, who are not making sure that they have all the relevant feed-up programs. They don't have the sports in all the different levels. Some of them ignore the grassroots, the 5-year-old, the 7 years old. I mean, if you understand the process of learning, Pigeon as a teacher, if you don't teach a child how to write in the early stage and how to hold the pencil properly, sometimes when they reach later on in life, it's difficult to retrain the mind of how they should properly hold the pencil for them to write correctly. You understand? So when the child is 5, 4, 6, 7, that's the age when you're supposed to be teaching them strategically how you pass, how you control, how you dribble. You understand? How you shoot to goal, how you know how to find your players. You understand? How to actually be good sportsmen. Don't kick down your players, and when you play fall, you help them up and all of them kind of things. You have to have that in the basic level of football, and we're not seeing that. But I must commend there are many, many, many persons around the countries in the different areas, and I must commend Ian Sardine, who had a very, very serious program with youth football for years. There are many like him, but my kids passed through Ian, so I'm singling him out. You understand? So we can't say that they're not the structures. They're some of the structures, but sometimes it's difficult to maintain these organizations because the sexy thing to fund would be the mass man, the parties. You understand? And when you go to people for youth football, They give you 200 if they give you so much, and it's always a spin around. Kudos again to Correas. Correas has been sponsoring Ian and some other persons. You understand?
But essentially, you think that
investing in the youth.
You think that the structures are not in place?
They're not.
Okay.
Not adequately in place. And again, we don't support persons from the grassroots up. I've gone to junior football, primary school football. When there's 2 parents, 3 parents, and there's 2 teams with 11 players on the field and probably 7 off the field, and parents can take time off to come to see the children play. There's not the support. You understand? You go wrong there. There's the sports teacher, the games teacher. I've left work and gone to see my kids when they were at prep school playing. I've left school and gone to see them when they play with West St. George or grammar school. They need more parents' involvement. They need more family involvement. They need more community involvement from the youthful stage. So when we reach up to the national stage and we go out and we see a game with hardly anybody coming out, it's because these persons don't go wrong. There's club football going on right now. They're on a break now, but there's club football going on right now for the national level, where there's still teams like Scion Hill, there's Avenues, you know what I mean? There are clubs, there's Leyu, there's Barley.
Aidisha,
Club Awesome FC, yes please.
There's also this view among parents that excellence in sports, whatever sport it is, comes at the sacrifice of academic work. And they,
that is utter rubbish.
But that is that's a prevailing view.
It exists. So how do you deal with that?
No, persons have to realize that individuals can become well-rounded. A physically active body would be able to study even better. You understand? You are more active in your mind when your body is physically fit. You understand? You become lethargic, just sitting down and being a bookworm and not being out and exercising your body and stuff like that is not going to be the best for a child. Yes, I'm saying that academics is important, but also sports is important. Also community development is important. Also culture is important. You have to make sure that your children are well exposed to every area of life, that they become the well-rounded individual that they are. I remember studying in Cuba when persons were only focused on getting a degree so they can get a big house and a car. If that is all what education is supposed to offer you, and not to think about giving back to your community, not to think of how you can help and make the place that you were born in becoming better, then I would say, may as well play sports alone, because that's not the kind of education I would be looking for. Education is supposed to be an overall upliftment that enhances you in every aspect of your life, your physical life, your educational life, your emotional life, etc.
So would you attribute?
I disagree with the view.
Yeah, but would you attribute that weakness as well to the lack of structure, lack of an organized approach to dealing with sports generally?
I would say so. And I'm saying the organizations do try, but I still think they're not focused different levels. So you need to make sure that all of the organizations that dealing with the youths have what they need to perform the regular training programs. So they have the games, they have the balls, they have, you know what I mean? I'm going to put a plug for myself and restarting the Scion Hill Youth Football. So I have 30 kids. I just restarted 3 months. I'm 50 years old now and gone back starting football, which is something.
So give us some details. Where can persons? How can they contact you?
I'm at Scion Hill with a coach, Buju Ben, he's the coach of prep school. He's there as our coach, Scion Hill playing field, 2 o'clock on Saturday evenings. We have every Saturday. So we have about 30-something kids who come out, and many of the kids come out, they don't have a football shoes, they don't have socks. You understand? And then you have to be trying to find somebody who could sponsor shoes, sponsor some socks. I got uniforms, so they got t-shirts. And
I'll tell you what, Aidisha, why don't you put a thing in place and let's come and discuss it on the program and put a proposal in terms of what the needs are and the program period, and let's come and discuss your program on the radio.
Well, I'm definitely would consider that, Cecil. I'm developing it now.
Consider.
Yes. No,
it's an invitation.
I would definitely consider.
Okay, all right.
I know, Cecil. Sunday mornings just be difficult for me, as you know.
Okay.
I just started a new business. I have to cook, and it's difficult for me to spend 2 hours on a radio program. Okay,
but you can come and talk about the business as well.
Okay, all right. Thanks for all your
Cecil, I can talk about that business as well, as a customer.
Oh, you have a loyal customer.
As a regular, and I invite that many persons. I can direct them where to go, and I can tell them about the quality.
Direct them for me, please.
Okay.
And,
But before you go off, before you go off,
I'm not going off yet, Cecil.
Oh, okay.
I want to go back to Mr. Pigeon. Pigeon, I hold you to standing up for more than just talking, Pigeon. You can't tell a man that's all you. Come on, a Pigeon. As an educator, you cannot only stand up for talking. You have to do actions to the talk as well. And your actions could be as well calling up, as you say, talking, but not just talking endlessly, making sure that what you talk come to fruition. Because if you just continue talking and nothing comes to fruition, nothing comes out of it, what is the sense of just talking?
Well, it means the other person didn't pick up
Come on, Pigeon.
No, I agree. That applies to all of us. All of us.
No, but it's Pigeon who reiterated it. You know what I mean? That's for talking.
No, but you talk about it on this program, so it applies to all of us, even you.
Okay.
So we all can make calls and we all can do things, and that's why I'm saying beyond the talking, we're inviting you to put your proposal together and come on the radio station and let's get further action. We're furthering the action.
I definitely would look forward to doing that.
All right. But in the meantime,
all right, have a great day.
Hold, don't go yet.
Oh, sorry.
Yesterday was International Women's Day. Yeah, you're not going to say anything?
Yes. Yesterday was International Women's Day. Unfortunately, I did not participate in any major activity. From my business where I work, we did commend all the women. We did have some specials, encourage women to do their mammograms and pap smear and so forth, because I work in a medical institution, integrated medical care. Because my Saturdays is engrossed with the youth, I did not get to participate in any public activity.
But you have a chance now.
I know we have made.
You have a chance now to say.
Many strides. You know, we have a female governor general. We have very strong political persons. We have very strong women in different organizations of leadership in the country. I would commend us always to continue striving for the best, but at the same time, where Joel mentioned just a little thing there about the amount of females in our institution, I really think that we still always have to try to pull up our men alongside us and not leave them behind, because we may reach the point where we're saying we don't have counterparts. You understand? We don't have eligible females, eligible males and females. As a mother of all boys, I try to make sure that I am there with my boys and encourage them as well. So I don't leave the boys behind. I'm always there in every activity that they do and participate as much as I can. So I would just commend all women for continue to doing their part, but always make sure that you're just not doing it alone for doing it alone sake. You know, we need our brothers by our sides, in front of us, behind us, next to us, wherever you may say it, but we need our brothers. So happy International Women's Day to all women, and happy day to all the men who continue to support the women of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and around the world.
All right. Well, I look forward to hearing from you, and when you can establish a date when you can be in studio.
Yeah, I will. All right. Then. You guys
Take
have
care.
a good day.
Okay.
Bye.
Interesting. So, Pijan, you said you were going to start with some remarks about.
No, well, just to make the point that women in St. Vincent and the Grenadines have come a very long way. And
let me just say, we're going to suspend the calls for a little bit until we've made this point, and then people can begin to call again, because I see somebody calling.
Yeah.
Just until we finish these comments about on women and
I have something to add.
Yes, in practically every field we have made significant progress, but there are some challenges that we still have to deal with. I suspect we still have to deal with gender-based violence. We still have to deal with not necessarily being underpaid. We have generally equal work for equal pay, but some of the low-scale jobs tend to be occupied by women, and that could be addressed. There is no barrier in terms of politics and leadership, but yet there's a paucity of women involved at the top level. We commented on the example a while ago where 5 candidates were put forward, female candidates were put forward in the last election, and there was none of them were able to gain a seat, despite both parties' embrace of women in their midst, at least in the rhetoric. We have done pretty well where education is concerned, and we have women who are in leadership in education circles. The chief education officer is a woman. The director of the community college is a woman, and so on. But like everything else, we need to address some of the limitations that we have where our women are concerned.
Well, we know for a fact there's going to be an elected female in the election coming up this year. There will be. Not Winward. We have 2 female candidates.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
So there definitely will be an elected woman. Joel, you know, it's there will be more. Let me just add this. But at least there's going to be one.
One, yes.
But the chances are there going to be more.
And that one would be the 4th or 5th female to be elected.
No, man. In our history?
Yeah, 4th or 5th.
Nah, it's a lot. Pigeon. There is well, by the way, that the puzzle would be the second for North Windward, Ivy Joshua, 1957 to 1979. Remember, she was elected and she represented that constituency.
Right.
But then there was also Valsina Ash in that by-election in Central Leeward.
In 83.
Yes. And all that, well, Pigeon reminded me too, there's the 2 female in the Grenadines. Were they elected?
Yeah, they were elected. Stephanie Brown and Mary Hutchinson.
Yeah. So, and then, of course, Rene Batiste.
Yvonne Francis Gibson.
And Yvonne Francis Gibson. So it's been a significant number. But we're still making the point, Pigeon is still making the point, and I agree with him that there should have been more elected and making contribution. Because, women make significant contribution. They're the ones who anchor the process of keeping the home. So in the home, yeah, but beyond the home, we need to have greater contribution. And Pigeon, again, you made the point that it's happening. We need to recognize that it is happening now. And it's been happening in a big way. But there needs to be more in the area of leadership. Although you would want to consider all those areas where women are prominently placed right now. There are leadership places, but still we would want to see in the area of the top political decision making, we would want to see more women there. Yeah, Joel.
Yeah, just a couple of things quickly that since independence, opportunities have presented themselves to Vincentians, male and female. And I'm saying that women have taken advantage of these opportunities more so than the male counterparts. And I think we have to ask ourselves the reasons why. As Pijan mentioned a short while ago, like in the government service, every permanent secretary position except 2, I believe, are occupied by a female. Currently, right? Mm-hmm. And in addition, you still have like the cabinet secretary. You mentioned the chief education officer, the director, the community college. You also have like the chief medical officer, the head of the tourism authority, the chief personal officer, and so on, and some others. Women heads of our foreign service offices abroad, even though that they may have females handling consulates in North America, but women occupy very important seats. Right? I also want to about women in business, right? Just mention very quickly there are women who own supermarkets, rural mini marts. There are women who run managers of insurance agencies. bet we can go back to the days when we used to have the shop. You go to the shop by Miss Enid or Miss Frank or Miss whoever and so forth. Those days, retail stores, their women, pharmacies, their owners. Many of the pharmacists are owners as well, is in the case of quality care and so on. Restaurants, lots of female owners and managers. Hotels and guest houses on the South Coast, from beachcombers, sunset shows, paradise, and there are more.
If they're not doing it, they're the ones who manage.
Alexandrina, and in this case, they're owners and managers. And then they have the apartments and so on. There are women involved in farming and so on, real estate agencies, property managers, accounting firms, their partners or if senior and there. And then you mentioned, and I think Aidisha mentioned by the Governor General and so on. And we have made some strides. We have better and stronger gender equality policies today and so on.
Sorry to interrupt you, hold your point. It's just that somebody just reminding us, and it's a glaring omission we made a while ago. Golden Miguel. We didn't count her as one of the...
We didn't mention Golden Miguel.
Yeah,
that's true.
It's a glaring omission.
Yeah,
we apologize for that.
It's true. We apologize for that. But again, maybe if it comes sequentially, that we would have picked it up.
Yes.
Are we sure we haven't missed out anyone else?
We'll come back.
We'll come back. Okay.
And just to note that Golden Miguel and Rennie Batiste left without losing their wicket.
That's right. Both of them resigned. Yeah, you're right. Yes, correct.
Yeah, that says a lot. So the question of parental leave, I don't know if we have, maybe someone can comment whether we have tightened it or not. Anti-discrimination legislation, sexual harassment and so on have taken place. Women are now, young women have role models now to follow, to emulate and so forth. And when we have women rising in the workplace, it actually strengthens our capacity to grow our economies and so on. It's something that we must pay great attention to. And women are more ambitious. They have the talent, but they pursue excellence and so on. They're far more focused. Women involved in tech areas as well and so forth. If we just swing back to university, I believe that in the Caribbean and Pacific, maybe 2/3 of our graduates from university are women, and not just in the so traditional field that we feel is the purview of women and so on, but just broadly across the board and so forth. I know, for example, at the law school in Trinidad, I think there are probably 8 females at year 1, year 2, and there are 8 persons, and they're all women right now. So you see, in the legal fraternity, what is likely to...
Well, but also the medical fraternity, most of the...
As well.
And the young female doctors.
So I'm wondering if these progress, if they didn't come at the expense of traditional rules such as child rearing and childbearing. It seems as if more and more women are delaying giving birth.
Some are mixing, some are doubling up, I think.
But yeah, I have a niece who did quite well in the States, and she got married instead of having her children until into her 30s. But like in the case of my mother, she had 5 children and then went off to university up to a master's level and so on. And that's a long time ago and so forth. So some did it after having the children, but today they say, well, nah, and then you're going to have maybe 1 child, maybe. And then I think maybe Aidisha was making a point about this thing about whether or not you should be, this thing about being equally yoked. Sometimes you want a partner who can match your talents and interests and so forth. And this has been an issue that I remember hearing Professor Hilary Beck was raising this issue about being approached by some female graduates who raised the thing about not being able to find male to, partners. And he said, don't hesitate to be, long ago that doctors married nurses and managers married secretaries and so on. So marry whether you think is a good plumber or a good electrician and so on. Once he can be a good mate to you and so forth. But we can do more. Just a couple of things that I think that we should do more. If there is tokenism in some areas, then we got to reduce the tokenism and empower women more. So maybe we have women in positions, but they're not as empowered as much as they should be. We need to promote female entrepreneurs through mentoring, training, and other ways. And then reproductive health services, I think, become very crucial. And one of the things and personal health, I just want to mention that I think that women can become farmers, and they are farmers, especially in the rural community.
Well,
but
the majority of farmers are women.
Are women, right. But you also we need to have programs, and this might sound like a little bit of a bias because it might not apply to men, but we want a woman to come down from the hills after working hard in the fields, and then she can go to then decide whether she wants to beautify herself and do certain things. And I believe that like the polyclinics and the health clinics should have wellness facilities and so forth, not just to do like physiotherapy and so on, but just generally to make people feel better about themselves.
It's a good idea, and I hope we need to put that forward in a very serious and formal way.
Yes.
Yeah. Even as they're talking about, and I know in some areas they're talking about refurbishing and restructuring some of the clinics. And I think this is so important.
Yes, and so they kind of even like dental services and so on. They can feel better about themselves.
Yeah.
And the more that the women feel better about themselves, they can feel good about their jobs, and the men will know that they too would also have to, or we too would have to step up. There's some underreporting of sexual and other abuse. I know Peter mentioned as one of the issues and so on. And so this has to be addressed. Equal pay imbalance, I can't speak specifically to that right now, but
does it exist? I don't know if it exists in practical terms.
I can't see it existing in the government service.
In the government service.
It's not.
There's a structure, but maybe there might be some cases in some businesses that some women are worked harder by their male managers for less
and
pay.
they're underpaid. They're underpaid,
and so forth. Or sometimes the man would say, well, the woman has to leave at 4:00 because they have children to go and take care of. But the man might stay back and do some overtime and get extra, whatever the case might be. And the management say, well, okay, I'm going to give the man more and so forth. But this is something that we have to address. And then also we have to stop branding jobs with
as women
gender,
job,
as a woman, gender and man
job.
Yeah. So secretary or cashier or nurses. And men should feel good that they can join the nursing fraternity and don't,
Let me, Joel, just hold a minute. This person is
okay.
insistent. Let me take this. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Good afternoon. I'm just listening. I just came on the church.
We're not hearing you well. The call is muffled. Your voice is muffled.
Okay. Well, I said I just came out of church and I heard the program going. And I am saying that don't just run over what the women do. Do a little explanation of how they would have impacted our society and so forth. Like Miss Girlin Miguel, she was a great educator before she joined the political arena. And even as she went into the political arena, she still was influential in education there. So she played a mighty part there. Also, Minister Renee Batiste, she was a great tourism minister when she was in politics, and she's a great lawyer. So, just emphasize a little bit more because the younger ones may not know them. So those of older, just give a little explanation so we could know a little more about what they would have done as great women in society today.
We did it that way also to trigger cause like you, like what you just did.
No, but she's correct. She's fully correct. In fact, I wanted to let her know that we intended to come back because we're going to talk a little bit more about the spheres of politics. So we would say more when we get back there.
Okay then, thank you very much.
But yeah, Pigeon is correct too. By the way, Pigeon is correct. that
Yes.
somebody like you, we don't know, you didn't tell us who you are, but it's all right. But the fact that you're helping us to see the other dimensions, that's important.
Yes, Miss Miguel would have taught me in prep school as she was the headmistress there, and she would have taught, and she would have been a great impact to young ladies entering into that school, because her motivational skills that she would have taught us and encouraged us as young women coming up, it stick with us and for me as well. So I was just saying, that's a little elaboration.
No, we agree. We agree with that. We certainly agree with that.
But there's a risk. We run the risk though that there's some persons women who play an important role in some communities, maybe in North Leeward or in the Southern Grenadines, and we might not mention their names. So we have to exercise care that we ensure that we capture as many women as possible who are impacted at the community and national level. And also just to add that last year, on this program, on this subject, we did actually speak about individuals. Some of the names that you mentioned indeed last year. So the focus, based on the time that was taken in the program, went a little bit direction. Not to say that what you're saying is not important, but I just provided maybe an excuse for the program.
Okay then, darling. And also, let me mention another one as it came to mind, Mrs. Olivia De Silva. She has been a great instrumental teacher and educator as well too, and she's still going strong.
When you say she's still going strong, you mean she is still contributing?
She's retired, but no, she's retired, but she's still impacting society, even in the church arena.
Oh, okay.
And in the night mornings light up.
Right, and the night mornings
okay.
light up.
That the Silver.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, that's right. And
bringing joy and all of that to people at Christmas.
Yes, she does. She does that, and it is really heartwarming that she would have taken the time out and would have sacrificed to do that lighting. And every year that you visit the home, there is always a team towards the lighting up. So I am just doing this part, and also.
Well, we're glad. We're glad you called to do this part.
Right, and also you can't forget those women in ministry, those who minister the word.
Mention
of God.
Mention those. Go ahead. Mention those that come to your mind.
Apostle Marcia Crease, Bishop. What's her name? Bishop Campbell. Those ladies, they would have, they'd have ministered the word. God would have enabled them and strengthened them so much that they're still going strong in the word of God, ministering and bringing souls to repentance and delivering them, and setting them free from the bondage of sin. They would have been real instrumental in person's life. So I don't want to hold up any more of the program.
No, that's all right. No, you're contributing.
Yes,
that's good.
I know, but I will give somebody else a chance.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for adding to the program. Okay, bye-bye. Yes. So, Joel, yes, you.
Yeah, okay. Just to, I wanted to close on two areas there. When women in leadership positions, in particular politics, I think that I'm not saying that women should necessarily get a buy, as opposed to men in terms of the pull down and so forth. But I think that generally we should, as more women get involved, hopefully we will have less pull down and more upliftment of those Vincentians who come forward to participate in representative politics and so forth. I just read something there in the paper, which I thought was, you can make a comment without necessarily pulling down the individual. If somebody wants to.
Which paper? This weekend paper?
Yeah, I think they're in two of the newspapers. This weekend is gone.
Oh, you don't want to?
I didn't necessarily want to go into detail, but they were making mention of someone who's not necessarily going to put themselves up as a candidate, but they're not known in the area. They weren't born there. They never lived there.
Oh, you talk. Well, I mean, I could see it. I read a story. I didn't see it in the paper, but I read a story on Eyewitness News. Could be the same thing because somebody told me it's in the Socialite. I haven't read it, but it's an opinion, and it's only an opinion. So.
Yeah, there's an opinion, but
no. But I understand. No, I'm coming to make the point that well, you finished. You've finished making a point.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with being critiqued and so on. But sometimes we just got to try and recognize too that there are people who are putting themselves out there to do the job, take on a task that many of us would not do, and so on. It's the sacrifices is great, the sacrifices is endless. And sometimes while we feel that they may not be the most suitable or they may not be doing the best job if they're there already, sometimes you can provide critical support or just you can critique. But we need to try our best, male or female, especially female, especially the mothers of young children, boys and girls.
Gerald, could you hold your point and let's say we'll come back. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon to you, sir.
I just want to add to the last caller's contribution. Yes,
just listen to your phone, not to your device.
Okay. Yes. I just want to add to the last caller's contribution in relation to some of our females who have made outstanding contribution to our communities. I also think about our own Nelson Robinson. We can think about our Ivy Joshua. We could also think about Yvonne Francis Gibson. We can also think about a former Chief Education Officer, what's her name again, Viola Thomas. Right? And more recently, we can also think about recently passed on. I think yes, her contribution to the economy, business, employment in this country, and that sort of stuff, very, very, very outstanding. And I also want to use this opportunity to extend condolences to her family and her passing. These are individuals who made the contribution. I support that lady who also highlighted our own Rennie Batiste. Rennie did a very good job with the Ministry of Health. But for my own community, I want to
tourism and culture.
Culture, yeah, tourism. I also want to make a contribution on outstanding persons in my own community, persons like Mal Trotman, Joan George. These are good educators.
And that community is Stubbs.
Stubbs,
Yes.
yeah, Stubbs community.
Okay.
You know, our own persons like Joan George, Rosita Snag. These are individuals who not only contribute to education in our communities, but they were involved in community development also in this area. So I just want to extend, appreciation to all our outstanding women who have contributed in one way or the other, raising families, raising children in this country. So guys, you take care.
You too. Thank you very much for calling and contributing. Somebody is asking, Coach is asking, you're not asking the names of the callers. Well, sometimes it's, you just let that pass, Coach. Yeah. So Joel, sorry, you're not finished, right?
I'm just in the point that sometimes we need to encourage more women involved. We mentioned that there were 5 in 2020 females who participated in the last general elections. It seems as if there will be 5 again this year, but we'd like to see more. That is 5 out of possibly 30 or maybe more persons. But sometimes women may say they may be this smarter, more intelligent than the men and say, well, let me have a responsibility to my family and children and so on. So I'll just stay back and so on for the time being. But we want to have more women involved in the process. And it is incumbent on us to be supportive, while we can be critical when the occasion so demands.
Well, one thing for sure is that there are greater opportunities now than before for generally for people, but most of our women to take part because of the fact that even for those who wish to take part, even if you lose, you can go back. Those in the public service, that is, you can go back and reapply for your job. So that provides an incentive in a way, and I hope it manifests itself. Incidentally, it's more than 5. There are 2 other candidates we know of. I think her name is Charles from West St. George, and there's also another
South
Charles from South Leeward.
Doris Charles.
Fredericks.
And the one from
West
St. George, independent candidate.
I'm not so familiar with her name.
Yeah, she was on one of the morning. She was on the activated morning program already. Yeah. When I think she launched her candidacy, our party anyway. So yes, there are greater opportunities now than before for women, and it's important because Jolie made the point that women see things in terms of leadership. We know that women there's a belief that women see things not in the same way that men see things. So in terms of bringing that new and fresh dimension to say the politics or the leadership in politics, I think we can look forward to that kind of innovation. And it all speaks well for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, for the development of the country. And when we talk about development, we talk about sustainable development, which is important now. So it's good. And we really needed more time to discuss, as the person who called mentioned. And I promised that we would get back to talking more about the names we mentioned. But we really needed more time where we could go into a little bit more on this, on their women's contribution. But this year being the year for women in politics, in the sense that we have a number of candidates, and we know for sure there's going to be an elected representative, female representative in North Windward. I think we would have to spend more time going forward, looking at all those, what it means for development in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Gentlemen, we got to pull up now. So, any closing remarks from?
Yes, I just wanted to close with an apology. And I just wanted to apologize to, the staff and of the St. Vincent Grammar School. I did make the comment that I was advised that there were actually just 3 male teachers, but that is actually incorrect, and has been corrected by the headmaster of the St. Grammar School that there are actually 19 male teachers at the grammar school. I don't know how many female teachers there are, but there are actually 19 male teachers. I just accept that correction, and I just feel that I should share that as well.
Yes.
And my final point, I just want to bear a very special greeting to a young lady from the Trumacontaria Secondary School by the name of Naira Dishang, an athlete with tremendous potential, and I just want to give her my best wishes in the upcoming inter-school sports. Naira, to her mother, Mr. Oliver, and to the principal and students of the Trumacontaria Secondary School.
Oh, so Pijan, none? All right. With respect to correction, we have been corrected, and I thank Reliza, for reminding us that the name of the candidate for West St. George, the independent candidate, is Kenna Kittels. Thank you very much, Reliza, for correcting us. So yeah, so there you have it. She will be. Cecil,
I just only have one question for you and one for Pijan, and one for Karen too. Where will you be on Friday next? Upcoming.
Friday night.
Friday
a special Friday night.
is
Huh?
yeah,
Heroes
Heroes Day.
Day.
Yeah.
I'll be
Friday.
home, hopefully.
There will be. Is there going to be an activity?
Well, I know there should be the usual, like in Fancy
usual-
and Greg's,
Oh,
with
okay.
reduced activity, like in Rabakan, Ovia, and so forth.
Hmm. Well, I can't. I have a commitment that I have to fulfill on that day, so I can't go too far. So I might. I'm not sure yet. I can't respond to that yet. But I will be attending one of the nearby activities. I know there would be. Is that the day they usually have the usual pilgrimage to Baliso? I think so. That would be a rough one for me. I don't think I can take on Baliso this time around. I've gone there a few times in the past, and even the
event
at Dorsetshire Hill at the Ubilis. I am not. I'll see how that one goes. Really. Recently, I've been taking it in on looking at the TV. So I'll see how that one goes. But Jolly, you'd be.
I can't make Fancy. I more than likely I'll reach as far as Rabakan. Last year I had to turn back when trying to get to Greg's. So I don't think I'll attempt Greg's this time.
Greg's road is good these days, eh?
Yeah, the road is good, but it's still relatively narrow and there's a lot of traffic.
Yeah. Well, that's a challenge.
So I had to turn back and so on. So I'll probably reach as far as Rabaka. I have family, 7 of them from Canada with me. And so I'll make sure, especially the younger ones who were born over there, and so on, so at least they experience something of our national heroes, this traditional celebration.
Okay. All right. In the meantime, we thank all those persons who followed the program today and those who called in. We thank you very much. Aidisha, we have a date in studio. Remember that. We'd have to fix that outside of here. And we thank the folks who listen via Star FM and Garifuna Radio. And we remind you that there are some activities that you should attend. Football is quite some distance away. Jamaica, Vincy Heath. But we still keep it in mind. And Joel, you didn't give us the update on the ICC match.
Oh, I think that India they were on their way towards winning that game. I'll give it to you like India won by 4 wickets.
Okay.
New Zealand made 251 for 7. India 254 for 6 with 6 balls remaining. So they have won the T20 World Cup, which took place in the Caribbean last year, June, and they won the Champions Trophy as well. So India seemed to be dominated.
India's West Indies in the 1970s, 1980s.
Of course, they had it in there. The tournament was being held in Pakistan, but India did not play a single game in Pakistan. They played everything in Dubai.
Okay. All right, gentlemen, we've had a good day. So on behalf of Philbert, Joel, and Kieran, my name is Cecil. Good afternoon from East Hand.